Reflecting on your time at Facebook, what was it like running a local outpost of such an enormous global organisation, and what do you think the key lessons were for you from that experience?
So what it was like was really exciting because we were in the earlier days of Facebook when the business was really still a startup. So we came out to different outposts of the world and sort of laid down the landing parties and then started to build the business from scratch. And we were given a lot of latitude to do things that worked in the market. And so in Australia, we did some unique things that really worked well here that eventually made Australia probably the most successful market in the world for Facebook and Instagram. And a lot of that had to do with some of the early decisions we made about how to structure the team and the kind of resources and strategy we wanted to follow. The relationship with motherships is always very important. You can't take for granted that they necessarily understand your situation, your local conditions, why things are working or not working. There's a myopia that comes out of Silicon Valley as well about a lot of things. There's a bit of a bubble there. So one of the key things about dealing with the mothership is making sure you're always kind of framing anything you're doing or your results in a local context. And I found some businesses around the Facebook world weren't good at doing that. They wouldn't give the frame, and therefore the numbers just sort of would float off in the ether, and it was hard for California to understand, is this good or is this bad?
So Stephen, while you were at Facebook, the organisation experienced a huge growth in numbers. Can you take us through the reasons for that exponential growth?
Mark and Facebook, they cracked the code on how do you tap into the social graph and the zeitgeist of why people want to connect with each other. Facebook's been very strategic about how it's built, not just the core Facebook platform, but also acquiring Instagram, acquiring WhatsApp, spinning out Messenger, really thinking about these multi-modes about how people communicate. And I think the third reason Facebook's grown so quickly is just simply its timing. There was going to be a social network that would emerge and ride off the back of the iPhone. And the iPhone is what's really driven Facebook's growth.
With the phenomenal growth that Facebook experienced, an element of that has been picked up in the media has been increased political and community concerns around potential dominance in that data space. Do you think those concerns or that backlash has been valid, Stephen?
Some aspects of Facebook and social media just get a lot more play because something went wrong or something didn't happen or something was, Facebook took something down or didn't take something down. There's billions of pieces of content posted every day on platforms like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And it is amazing that these platforms are as good as they are at moderating, such as it is, and managing that content in a way that actually 99.9% of it is fine and acceptable. We saw supposed election sort of disruption a couple of years ago with Facebook and other social platforms. At a higher level, that is the interface of an AI-driven system with an organic system called democracy. And so one of the questions we have to ask ourselves is, are some of our organic, more analog systems we set up hundreds of years ago, are they the right system? Are they the right plan, the right structure to deal with a world that's driven by AI? And part of what I would suggest about the challenge that's happening with Facebook and democracy is Facebook has to change some things, but I think we need to shift how we think about democracy and how we build our democracy as well.
Australia, like other economies, is embracing greater spread of data, including through open banking. How do you think that interest in more open data sharing will reshape the economy in years to come?
I think the impact is going to be profound and in ways we probably can't fully anticipate today. It's like if we went back 100 to 150 years and said, what's going to be the impact of electricity on the economy and on the world? You wouldn't have been able to predict some of the impacts electricity had, or the combustion engine. All these sort of new technologies, when they're born, our imaginations aren't broad enough to understand how they're going to impact. Now, data is not a technology into itself, but a lot of the shifts that are going on right now are around the quantity of data, the cost and ease with which, the low cost and ease with which you can process and store that data, and then the smarts that you can put on top of that data to kind of to drive insights, such as machine learning and artificial intelligence. We're sort of at a perfect storm now, where all those three things are coming together in a profound way, so that they're going to drive profound changes in how businesses create value for consumers, and indeed how businesses organize themselves in terms of business models to serve those consumers. Every business in the world isn't going to necessarily abandon their core and rush to just do data. No, they're going to keep serving customers in the way that they have, but they're going to have to learn how do we use data, our own and open source data, to create value for our customers, to create new businesses, business models, to create new products and services. Every manager on earth now needs to be as dexterous and able to use data and understand data and converse with data experts in the same way that they converse with the person who runs HR, or the person who heads up strategy, or the person who heads up finance, or the person who runs operations. The best leaders are they're not necessarily experts in all areas, but they can actually have strategic conversations with those people who are experts. The same now is true of data, and too many of our leaders in businesses, they're data illiterate today, but they need to become data dexterous.